HOA, Karen Find My Whale Show. She had no idea it would be the end of her career. The morning sun struck Clearwater shores like a spotlight cast on a stage too fragile to hold the play about to unfold. This was a place where lawns were clipped like military cadets and shutters all wore the same shade of regulation beige, where wind chimes were limited to decibels, quieter than a hummingbird's wings. And harmony was the ruling deity worshipped through silence and uniformity. But something broke that harmony on a Saturday in mid-July. It wasn't the drone of a leaf blower or the improper height of a fence. No. This was louder, wilder, wondrous. It was Luna and Echo, two pilot whales, rising like ocean spirits from a massive saltwater tank in the backyard of Lot 9, breaching in slow-motion arcs above a crowd of cheering children, their misty spouts catching the light and turning it into 1,000 rainbows. The tank wasn't just a pool. It was a custom-built, reef-mimicking, filtration-integrated aquatic habitat designed by none other than Dr. Mason Teller, a former NOAA biologist and founder of the Clearwater Marine Wellness Initiative. It had taken him 3 years to build it, another year to gain city approval, and months to prepare for this. The Healing Splash Festival, a public charity event in partnership with Clearwater Children's Hospital. Hundreds attended, residents, tourists, marine life lovers, terminally ill children with their families, environmental scientists, and 2 local council members. There were booths with dolphin-safe tuna, marine art from local schools, and VR headsets showing 360-degree underwater rescues. The air was filled with a kind of happiness that felt too bold for this neighborhood, too colorful, too alive. And from behind closed plantation shutters on the second floor of Lot 11, Karen Whitlock watched it all with a fury that burned hotter than the Florida sun. The binoculars she gripped were army grade. Her lips were pursed so tight they disappeared. Her iced chamomile tea had long melted, but she didn't notice. All her attention was fixed on the rhythmic dance of aquatic lawlessness. "It's a circus," she muttered. "A sea circus." Karen had been HOA president for 11 years. Elected by a modest 61 votes, she had slowly transformed Clearwater Shores from a sleepy beachside community into a regime of lawn inspections, mail slot conformity, and surveillance-fed order. She did not rule from a place of malice, at least that's what she told herself, but from a place of duty, a sense of structure in a world spinning too fast. But whales? In a neighborhood? Unacceptable. She snapped shut her binoculars and stormed downstairs to her converted sunroom office. Her compliance team group chat pinged. "George, it's like SeaWorld had a baby with Burning Man." "Nancy, one of the whales made eye contact with me. I feel judged." "Ed, there are food trucks, not even HOA licensed." Karen replied with a single command. "Code red, violation sweep. Lot 9, bring clipboards." Within 20 minutes, the team arrived in khakis and polo shirts, wielding laminated codebooks, decibel meters, and a self-inking stamp that read, "Citation issued." They marched like an infantry unit across manicured lawns toward the source of Clearwater's aquatic insurrection. As they approached the entrance, a security guard held out a palm. "Sorry, private event? Do you have wristbands?" Karen stepped forward. "I don't need one. I'm the HOA president." Inside, Dr. Teller stood near the stage with a group of children in wheelchairs. Each child wore a sailor cap and a pin that read, "Joy is its own medicine." "Dr. Teller!" Karen's voice boomed. He turned. His face was sun-lined but calm. His shirt bore the embroidered wave logo of his initiative. "Yes? This performance is in gross violation of multiple HOA statutes." He sighed. "Karen, we've been through this. We have city permits, state environmental clearances, and the mayor sent flowers. But no HOA sign-off, because you blocked every request." "For good reason," she barked. "This isn't Monterey Bay. This is a residential community zoned for peace. And now you've got," she gestured broadly at the tank, "cetaceans flipping above rooftops. Children are laughing, Karen. Children who haven't laughed in months." Luna breached again, casting a wave of water over the front row. The children squealed with joy. Karen flinched as if struck. "My role is to enforce policy, not chase feelings." "Maybe your role is obsolete." Gasps. A volunteer dropped her clipboard. Karen straightened her spine. "As of this moment, you are officially fined under the following violations." She read aloud, voice rising with each line. Section 3. 9. Unapproved sound amplification above 65 decibels. Section 4. 2. Gatherings exceeding 25 people without written HOA notification, Section 6. 5. Use of marine life in a recreational facility, Section 7. 3. Operating a charitable event without neighborhood board consent, Section 11. 1. Installation of a water feature exceeding 1,500 gallons without prior approval, Section 12. 7. Distribution of branded merchandise not pre-cleared for logo consistency, Section 15. Emotional disruptions deemed excessive or destabilizing. Fine amount? Dr. Teller asked. Karen smiled. $10,000, with a follow-up notice pending marine waste runoff analysis. Cheers turned into murmurs. Teller calmly took the citation. You're fighting a battle against wonder, Karen. No, I'm fighting for order. He looked at the crowd. Children, parents, teens with tears in their eyes, then back at her. Then may you never feel wonder again. The video hit the internet within hours. It began with the majestic breach of echo, mist sparkling in the sun, children screaming in delight. Then the camera panned to Karen's face, stern, clipboard in hand, lips pinched like a banker counting pennies. Her words echoed, "You are fined under HOA Statute 15.3 for emotional disruptions deemed excessive or destabilizing." The comments section exploded. CSID, "This lady just fined Joy? Ocean Mama 87. This is why aliens don't visit us." Fish for life. Karen tried to arrest a dolphin last year, I swear. Whale justice became a trending topic. Let Joy Swim surged past 200K posts in 48 hours. By Monday morning, national media had picked up the story. HOA president fines marine rescue event for having too much emotion, read the Chiron on Good Morning America. Karen's phone didn't stop buzzing. Her HOA inbox? 1,204 unread messages. The board emergency group chat? A dumpster fire. But Karen remained undeterred. She appeared on a local news segment to clarify. With a stiff neck and her pearls perfectly aligned, she said, "Rules exist to preserve the quality of life in our community. There are other ways to inspire children that don't involve marine mammals in suburban pools." The backlash was instant. Memes of Karen glaring at orcas surfaced. One had her head photoshopped onto Ursula from The Little Mermaid, holding a scroll labeled Bylaws. But it wasn't just internet rage. Things were shifting at home. On Tuesday, a letter slid under Karen's door. "You've lost your way. We bought here for peace, not pettiness. Sincerely, Lot 24. The next day, lawn signs started appearing. Recall Karen. Let whales live. Karen is not Clearwater. Some homes even placed inflatable whales on their lawns. Technically a violation, but the compliance team had silently stopped enforcing. Nancy, her longest-standing ally, emailed her resignation. "It's not about the rules anymore. It's about people, and people are hurting, and you're making it worse." Karen responded with a single sentence. "You were always too sentimental." Then came the legal notice. Dr. Teller, supported by a legal team that included pro bono counsel from a national environmental law firm, filed a formal complaint with the County Ethics Board and Civil Mediation Office. Claim: HOA Abuse of Power Statute. Invoked Florida Homeowners Act 720. 306. Disproportionate enforcement of policy in a manner not materially harmful to property or residents may constitute administrative overreach. The complaint cited independent sound readings showing all music was within allowable range. City permits for crowd size and charitable gathering. State marine permits. Environmental impact reports showing no risk. Letters from 47 residents expressing approval and support. Testimonies from pediatric patients and parents. The evidence was overwhelming. But Karen would not yield. She countersued for neighborhood destabilization, citing psychological strain, brand dilution of Clearwater shores, and illegal monetization of marine life in a zone not designated for commerce. Even her lawyer raised an eyebrow at that one. The court hearing was set for Friday. As the day approached, Clearwater's tensions grew. Protesters stood outside HOA headquarters, some in wetsuits, others in whale costumes. A drone flew above with a banner reading, "Karen, the ocean called. It wants its dignity back." The night before the hearing, Karen reviewed her binder for the 15th time. Section 3, 2, Section 4, 4, Section 15, 3. To her, the codes were sacred. A language of order in a world spinning out of control. She looked up at a framed photo on her shelf. Her and her late husband, Gregory, standing in front of their first home, smiling beside a "Welcome to Clearwater Shores" sign. He had loved the ocean, used to fish every weekend, had whispered to her once during sunset, One day, let's live by the water car, so we can hear the tides. She'd nodded, then forgotten, or buried it. That night, she didn't sleep. The courtroom was small but packed. The judge, a woman in her 60s with a sharp mind and tired eyes, looked unimpressed by Karen's 127-page binder. Dr. Teller, in contrast, arrived with a folder, a memory stick, and a quiet confidence. Each side made their case. Karen, we cannot allow personal sentiment to dictate community governance. Emotional events, regardless of intent, threaten the aesthetic and tranquility of the neighborhood. Imagine the precedent this sets. Next time it's whales. Then what, flamingo races? Snickers from the crowd. Children laughed for the first time since chemo. We saved animals who would have died. We did it legally, responsibly, and with joy. What exactly is the crime? The judge asked one question. Miss Whitlock, was there a single property damaged, endangered, or devalued? Karen hesitated. No. But then this court sees no material harm. You find a man for bringing life and hope to your neighborhood. That isn't enforcement. It's tyranny in disguise. She struck the gavel, ruling. All HOA fines voided. Clearwater HOA to be placed under independent audit. Karen Whitlock is suspended pending review. That night, Karen drove home in silence. Her house was dark, her phone off. A whale plush sat on her porch again. This time there was a note. We forgive you. The sea doesn't hold grudges. It just keeps swimming. She stared at it, then looked at her hands, still clinging to the codebook like a shield. And for the first time in over a decade, she let it fall. The sun rose slowly over Clearwater shores, casting long shadows over a neighborhood in transition. The air was still salt-tinted, but something else now stirred beneath the surface, a ripple of change. Karen Whitlock did not attend the next HOA board meeting. She sat alone at her dining table, binder unopened, remote untouched, tea cold. From her window, she could see the house across the street, Lot 14, decorated in streamers and blue ribbons. A handmade sign read, "Thank you, Luna and Echo." The whales had long since returned to the Oceanic Rehabilitation Facility 2 towns over, but their impact had not faded. Clearwater Shores was talking, debating, and for the first time in years, disagreeing publicly. At the emergency special election, a new board was voted in. George Tran was elected HOA president by an overwhelming majority. His campaign motto, "Let's remember why we moved here." Karen watched the results online. Not bitter, not angry, just quiet. She opened her HOA email inbox one last time. Thousands of messages. Hate, praise, mockery, reflection. She selected them all and hit delete. The new board's first act was radical by Clearwater standards. A full audit and revision of the HOA bylaws. The community was invited to participate. Open forums, online surveys, town halls with coffee and ocean-themed cookies. Residents came out in record numbers. One proposal caused both laughter and applause. Section 17.1, Marine Visitation Clause. Occasional visitation by marine life for educational, therapeutic, or celebratory purposes shall not be considered a violation if conducted with proper permits and community notice. Another, Section 18.3, Joy Provisions Acts of spontaneous community celebration shall be given the benefit of the doubt unless proven harmful. Karen watched a live stream of the town hall. George wore a t-shirt that said, "Whale come back." Children passed out little stickers with whale tails that read, "Swim in kindness." She shut her laptop. The silence was deafening. Across town, Dr. Teller was preparing for something unexpected. The Clearwater General Hospital had approached him with a proposal. A permanent partnership, an annual healing splash week, rotating between public venues and temporary saltwater installations, bringing rescued marine life into safe proximity with sick children and their families. State permits were fast-tracked. Funding poured in from viral donors. Even Clearwater Shores offered partial sponsorship through a vote passed 207 to 80. It was more than Dr. Teller had hoped for. But he had one condition. Let Karen attend. No cameras, no press, just her. George hesitated. You sure? She needs to see what she tried to kill, so she can decide whether to keep fighting the tide or float with it. Karen was sitting on the pier behind her retirement condo when the invitation arrived. No envelope. Just a child, maybe 8 years old, in a sun hat and overalls, holding a folded note. "Miss Karen, my brother said I should give this to you. He's the whale man." She took it with shaking hands. "Karen, if you're ready to see what it meant, come tomorrow. No one will film you. Just watch. M." The next day, she went. She didn't tell anyone. She wore no makeup, no pearls. At the edge of the temporary pool, smaller this time, but just as clean, stood Luna, slower, but unmistakably graceful. She breached gently, almost in greeting. A child's laughter pierced the morning air. Karen turned toward it. A girl in a hospital gown, head bald from treatment, had her arms spread like wings. She waved at me. Karen smiled. She didn't even realize she was crying. Later that day, Dr. Teller approached her quietly. "She remembers you," he said, gesturing to Luna. "Cetaceans have long memory pathways." Karen wiped her cheek. "Does she hate me?" "No, she just listens better than most." Karen nodded. "I didn't know. I didn't see it." "You saw it," he said. "You just feared it." They sat on a bench. For a while, neither spoke. Finally, she whispered, "I used to love the sea." Teller didn't reply. He simply pointed to the water. "Then go talk to it. It's still there." That evening, Karen stood barefoot at the shoreline of Clearwater Beach. Her binder was gone. Her phone was left at home. She let the waves soak the hem of her pants, and for the first time in years, she closed her eyes and listened. Seagulls above, laughter in the distance, and beneath it all, the deep, ancient pulse of the tide. For a moment, she imagined Luna and Echo, far out in the dark water, moving in rhythm with something older than rules, older than homes, older than her. She smiled again. Not the stiff smirk of power, but something real. This brings our story to around 45,000 characters. In part 4, we'll complete the journey. The official amendment of Clearwater's bylaws. Karen's unexpected legacy. One final marine event that rewrites everything. And the true ending of Let Joy Swim. Months passed. Clearwater Shores had changed. The HOA bylaws were revised. The recall of Karen Whitlock was finalized, and a new era of community involvement bloomed like coral regrown over scarred reef. But Dr. Mason Teller hadn't forgotten, because Karen hadn't just fined him. She'd tried to destroy everything he'd built, his sanctuary, his whales, his reputation. And though she had lost her title, she had never formally apologized, never retracted her accusations, and worst of all, never admitted she was wrong. So Teller made a quiet decision. It began with an acquisition. He bought the abandoned shopping plaza just outside Clearwater Shores, once a furniture outlet, now condemned. Within weeks, the property was walled off, and construction vehicles moved in. A massive white tent rose in the center. Workers in blue jumpsuits came and went. Then came the rumors. A new eco-circus? A marine sanctuary annex? A mobile rehab unit? Nobody knew for sure, until the flyers appeared. Tidal Circus, one weekend only. Presented by the Clearwater Marine Wellness Trust Wales. Dolphins, acrobats, music, and a surprise guest of honor. Karen, now living quietly in her condo, nearly spat out her tea. "A circus?" she muttered. "Now he's mocking me." But curiosity is a powerful force. She tore the flyer in half. Then, hours later, she taped it back together. Opening night was a spectacle. Floodlights danced in the sky. Eco-friendly torches lined the sidewalk. Local news vans crowded the parking lot. But inside was something transcendent. The tidal circus was unlike anything Clearwater had ever seen. Suspended platforms mimicked ocean currents. Acrobats twirled like jellyfish. Music composed entirely from whale songs played in the background. And at the center, a performance tank. Small, shallow, and temporary, filled only with water and light. Luna and Echo did not appear in person. Instead, holograms of their previous leaps shimmered over the audience, drawn from past footage. Children reached toward them, awestruck. Then came the moment. The ringmaster, a young woman in a navy coat, stepped forward. She unrolled a scroll and declared, "Tonight, we honor an extraordinary citizen, one whose actions inspired this event, one whose relentless commitment to rules sparked a revolution of joy. Please welcome Karen Whitlock." The spotlight hit her in the audience. Gasps, applause, laughter. Karen froze. The crowd didn't boo. They cheered. Not mockery, not sarcasm, something else. A strange theatrical admiration. She was escorted to the stage, confused, flushed stiff. Dr. Teller met her there. He handed her a plush whale, blue with silver stitching, wearing a sash that read MVP, Most Valuable Provoker. The audience roared. Karen stared at it. Then, slowly, she laughed. Actually, laughed. The first time in years. Dr. Teller leaned toward her mic. "You started this, Karen, and I'll never forget it. You tried to shut us down, but instead, you gave us the spotlight." The screen behind them lit up with footage from the first healing splash. Children clapping, Luna breaching, Karen storming in with a clipboard. It played like a myth, a fable. And now, Teller said, "We give back." He turned to the audience. All proceeds from tonight's show go toward building Clearwater's first permanent wildlife theater, where education, conservation, and compassion perform together, in honor of learning from our mistakes and our Karens. Thunderous applause. Karen turned to him. "You've humiliated me in the most elegant way imaginable." "No," he replied softly. "I've thanked you, publicly, creatively, permanently." And then he walked away. The new theater opened the following spring. It stood on land donated by the county, built with donations that poured in after the title circus went viral. At the grand opening, George Tran gave a speech. "And now, as is tradition, we place the final brick, engraved with the name of the person whose opposition taught us to fight harder." He held it up. Karen Whitlock, Catalyst Class of 2025. She was there, in the back row, clapping. In the years that followed, Karen rarely spoke of her time as HOA president, but every Saturday, she volunteered at the Marine Center, taking tickets, answering questions, guiding children. People would say, "Aren't you that woman from the video?" And she would smile and say, "Yes, I'm the one who started it all by trying to end it." Because that was the secret no one else saw. She had lost everything she clung to and gained everything she'd forgotten.